Hello, my name is Angela Boudewijns and I'm welcoming you all to our webinar on QAngio CT Research Edition. We are open for any feedback and it would be great to hear from you if you would like to see any topics in the future for any other webinars. Marton Kolosvari from Semmelweis University in Budapest will show you a presentation about CTA developments, and Peter Kitzler, the developer of QAngio CT, will give a live demo of the software. If you have any questions during the webinar, then you can use the Q&A section under your screen to write down your questions, and we try to answer them during the webinar. And if we're not able to do it during the webinar, we will send an email to everybody who participated with the answers which we didn't answer during the meeting. So I would like to start the webinar by giving the word to Marton Kolosvari.
So hi, thank you very much for the kind introduction. So I'll get right to it. Okay. Can my screen be seen? Okay. So I'd like to talk a little bit about not only the advantages, but also some controversies regarding advanced plaque quantification of coronary CT plaques. In the clinical setting, we are often found in a situation where a patient presents with symptoms of coronary artery disease, such as chest pain or dyspnea. One of our first choices might be to do a coronary CT angiogram of the patient, as it is enforced by guidelines, and especially the newest NICE guideline, which says it's the first line of choice in these patients. But the question is, how do we interpret these results? What will we say to the patient? What do our findings tell us about the risk and the prognosis of the patient? So the precise phenotyping of coronary artery disease is essential. As we know, in the clinical setting, we usually grade our plaques regarding stenosis. Several studies have shown that coronary CTA is a robust tool to depict plaque volumes and also stenoses when we compare it to intravascular ultrasound. We also usually grade our coronary plaques regarding the amount of calcification to non-calcified, calcified, and partially calcified plaques. Furthermore, other imaging biomarkers have been identified that are in connection with future major adverse cardiac events, such as the napkin ring sign, which is an independent predictor of future events. But this is still only qualitative analysis of the coronary plaques. CT datasets are vast three-dimensional datasets where we have a lot more information, where we can quantitatively analyze our lesions. So this is basically what QAngio CT does. Is we get a 3D rendered image where we can select a specific coronary artery, and based on the multiplanar reformats, we can delineate the inner luminal wall and the vessel wall, and basically the voxels between the two will contribute to the coronary plaques. And we can analyze this in a quantitative manner, not only the total plaque volume, but also we can grade our voxels based on the HU densities, and then we can classify these into different pathological components, such as fibrous or lipid-rich materials. There have been a lot of papers discussing the advantages of quantitative coronary CTA, such that, for example, low attenuation plaque volume and also total plaque volume are predictors of major adverse cardiac events. In another study, they assessed whether quantitative plaque features of coronary CTA are associated with ischemia, and they have shown that basically irregardless of stenosis, non-calcified plaque and low-density non-calcified plaque are better predictors of ischemia than simple stenosis, as those plaques with only small stenosis also might be ischemic if they have large quantities of non-calcified low-density plaque volumes. And other studies have also shown that basically quantitative CTA improves cardiovascular risk assessment in this population. However, as it seems, quantitative CTA is a very promising new tool, but still there are a lot of questions to be answered. For example, in the last years, new reconstruction algorithms have come out for all of the major vendors. As you can see here on these images on the left-hand side, filter back projection images have a lot more noise as compared to iterative model-based reconstruction algorithms. And on a qualitative basis, you can see that the depiction of non-calcified plaque components is superior with these new algorithms, and also depicting stents and very small vessels. But the question arises, do these new algorithms change the voxel intensities in a way that might change our quantitative results? QAngio et al. Recently has shown that overall plaque volume and calcified plaque volume actually change between these reconstruction algorithms. However, fortunately, intermediate and low attenuation plaques do not differ, which have been shown to be the predictors of later outcomes. Another very interesting study is by Simons et al. Is that it matters which scanner we use. They did a study where they analyzed patients who had 2 CTs within 30 days with different vendors, and they've shown that if you repeat your CT of the same patient on a different vendor, then you will just by chance see bigger differences in the assessed plaque volumes. And they have calculated if you wish to see at least 5% change in non-calcified plaque volume with 90% power, then you only need 286 subjects for the same CT. But if you have a different CT for the follow-up, then you need at least 754. Another very interesting question is which software to use. Oberoi and co-workers have shown that basically not only the scanner but also the software is very important, as analyzing the same data sets you can get different results if you use different softwares. And the holy grail of basically quantitative CTA is achieving robust results based on automated segmentations. But Buchner et al. Has shown that you need manual adjustments for the contours to achieve robust results. And with the newest image reconstruction algorithms and manual correction, you can achieve a modest correlation with invasive imaging, but still there needs some improvement. So we can say that there are still several questions that need to be addressed, and especially standards of protocol need to be reinforced so we can really get robust results regarding these analyses. But Medis QAngio CT is not only good for volumetric analysis. With the segmentations, basically we can get a 3-dimensional model for vasculature. And a very interesting topic nowadays is computational fluid dynamics. And based on these images, you can calculate a fraction of flow reserve based on CT images. And several studies have shown that basically these estimated FFR values from the CT images have a higher accuracy for identifying plaques that cause ischemia as compared to just simply looking at the anatomical stenosis degree. Another very interesting part of computational fluid dynamics is if you export these lumen meshes from Medis, then you can do endothelial wall shear stress analysis. And it has been shown in several papers that basically the wall shear stress profile of the coronary arteries determines the type and the localization of plaques in the coronary system. A very interesting study that we did here in Budapest that we are finalizing in these months is basically we've scanned 101 twin pairs. And as you can see here on panel A and D, these are monozygotic twins. And even though these share 100% of their genetics, you can see that their coronary vasculature shows differences, not only their shape, but also in the plaque compositions in these patients. And we have done comprehensive 3-dimensional analysis of these patients where we transpose the vasculature of the twins to each other and then calculate how similar these are. And as you can see, even in the case of monozygotic twins, you can see differences in their coronary anatomy. Another very interesting topic nowadays is radiomic analysis, which has been shown to be superior to simple qualitative and quantitative analyses in some cancer studies. Basically, what radiomic analysis does, in the qualitative state, we just look at the plaque and we can see a napkin ring sign here, while this is a plaque with the same degree of stenosis but without a napkin ring sign. And as you can see here, Medis codes these voxels based on their HU intensities, and you can see a lipid-rich necrotic core here, while you cannot in the control group. What radiomic analysis does, it basically takes each and every voxel and calculates numerous quantitative features from these plaques or other regions of interest, and creates huge databases where each abnormality is described by hundreds and thousands of different parameters. In our initial analysis that we've done here in Budapest, we compared 30 napkin ring signs with 30 control patients who had same degree of stenosis, plaque volumes, localization, and image reconstruction setting, and also scan parameters. So basically the only difference was if the plaque showed the napkin ring sign or not. And we calculated more than 4,000 different parameters. And on this Manhattan plot, you can see the different p-values regarding the radiomic parameters. And here with a Bonferroni corrected p-value, we have a lot of values that are very significant in identifying these plaques. And basically these parameters hold individual information regarding plaque morphology. On this heat map, you can see that there are distinct clusters where each parameter is very much correlated with each other, but not correlated with other ones. Basically, this means that that these parameters hold information that is unique to them and does not correlate with other ones. And these results allude that basically radiomic analysis might hold valuable information regarding new imaging biomarkers for the future. So to sum up, we can say that plaque segmentation and quantitative coronary plaque assessment with QAngio CT is feasible. The quantitative plaque assessment and volumetric analysis of different plaque components has an incremental diagnostic value as compared to simple qualitative clinical reading. But still, there are several questions that need to be addressed for us to receive reproducible and robust results in the future. And this is very important since new and newer studies are coming out which look at plaque progression as main outcomes. And we need very robust and very strict protocols for to believe these changes are not due to merely chance. And beyond quantitative analysis, we can export the luminal meshes, we can do computational fluid dynamics, geometrical analysis, and new analytical methods such as radiomics on these new on these images to further investigate coronary artery disease. So I'd like to wrap it up with that, and thank you for your kind attention.
Now we will continue with the live demonstration of Peter Kitzler.
Okay, so after this great presentation by Martin, I would like to show you the latest version of the software that we have, the QAngio CT, for doing these quantitative coronary analysis on CT. First of all, I would like to show you now quickly the new platform that we've just released, the Medis Suite platform, which allows to give a comprehensive overview of all the patients and data you have on the system, and allows to then launch additional quantitative analysis apps or detailed analysis apps like QAngio CT. So in this case, I would like to look at this case that we actually also received from the Semmelweis Institute, where Martin is working as well. So I want to thank them for this data. And for brevity of time, I will just preload some of the data that we are going to work with, just to show you the concepts of the analysis. So I opened this case, and it will first load in the data and start up the application, which will show in a few seconds the extracted coronary tree, which was fully automatically extracted from this set. So give it a few seconds. Yes. So what we see here in this view is the QAngio CT package. It comes with a number of standard views on the data, like the different orthogonal views, which can also be manipulated. And of course, the 3D view, which is the nice feature of the CT modality, where we can look at the data from all directions. In this case, we have here in green the extracted coronary tree, and we can actually pick and choose a vessel of interest. And on the left, we can see the curved MPR of this vessel, which we can follow down the vessel to see what the different cross-sections along this vessel look like, which are shown here in the bottom. Also, we see there are some annotations here in the tree, which are regarding the different coronary segments, the anatomical names of the coronary segments, which the computer automatically tried to assign to it. So from here we can select a vessel of interest, and we can pursue to do a real advanced quantitative analysis on this vessel. So for this we will click on this plus sign, which will start a dedicated analysis tab for this particular vessel. So in the analysis, we're going to work in these straightened views on the vessel. Right now you see 4 different views, which are 45 degrees apart in a straightened manner of the vessel. And these are just an initial estimate of the luminal borders and the luminal center. We can do some automated refinement to try to further straighten this out from the initial positions. And this usually greatly improves the detection and delineation of the lumen. Next, we're going to follow down this list of items where we get, as a second item, the real cross-sectional contours perpendicular to the center line at each location in this straightened view. And we can see here nicely that the lumen is traced and matched. And we can already see some maybe interesting deviations and narrowings in this vessel. Next to the lumen, we also have the vessel contours, and these are of course provide us with interesting information regarding the plaques, as Martin described, which are very interesting to investigate and have some clinical meaning as well. This is a nice case, although unfortunately not for the patient, but for, in this case, to show some of the advanced plaque characteristics that you might obtain from coronary CTA, and which can be quantified with the package. I'm just going to do a quick few corrections on this plaque, and hopefully you can now appreciate that there's a very large non-calcified, or at least partially calcified, but with a very low attenuation inside plaque at these locations in the vasculature. And we also see this right away in the quantitative diagram here, that the vessel areas are very much enlarged, probably indicating a positive remodeled plaque. We can rotate around the vessel to see indeed also that this expansion is visible here in the straightened view. In the curved view, we can also represent this, and we can have a view on the vasculature here. So this is our basic quantification on, or at least delineation of the vessel in the transversal slices, where we can do some corrections. We can also do some corrections in the longitudinal planes, where we can draw a line indicating where we think the contours should be. Next, we can go down a list and look at the segmental definitions in the vessel. So from the 3D view, we had the anatomical names visible. Can show you that here again. So these names of the vasculature, or the segments of the coronary system, we can apply to this straightened view, and this way we can have sub-statistical analysis in the data. So you might now see these gray lines which indicate the boundaries of the different coronary segments. And there are also here the names of these different segments are now enumerated in this list. And we can actually highlight one of them, and we can see what that active segment looks like in the graph, so from the green to the red bar, or in the straightened view from the green to the red bar. And for each of these segments, we can get now some detailed quantitative numbers, like the volumes of the vessel, the lumen, and the plaque. And of course also expressed as the burden, so the percentage of plaque that is present in this segment. Furthermore, there are two excluded parts here, which the computer automatically already detected that this beginning part of the vessel is not yet separated from the aorta, and there's an automated exclusion on the distal part, which where the vessel has become too small, or there's a too big of a narrowing to do a real good quantitative analysis. Furthermore, in the detailed statistical output, we can also look at the plaque components, and I will show you a more graphical representation of that as well. If we go to the plaque characterization item here, we can highlight that this plaque composition graphically with these colors in the viewer and in the diagram. So here we see the different tissue types that are now currently defined in the application, and the legend is shown here. These are coming from the intravascular ultrasound world, where they use these same categories. But you can just read them mainly as the red being the low attenuation parts, the green parts are the more fibrous tissues, and the white or gray in this graph would be the dense calcium. One interesting thing about the plaque characterization in QAngio CT is that we have two different modes. One is this basic fixed Hounsfield unit modes, where we assign different tissue types based on the Hounsfield ranges. The other one would be an adaptive mode, which, once I show you this, takes into account intensity differences which might occur within the vessel. More detailed information we can provide you later with should it be needed. So we now have all this information available, and of course this is just one vessel. We can actually give this a more meaningful name. And if we go back to the coronary system here, we could of course select another vessel and pursue down the same lines to do the analysis in this vessel as well. And here we will follow the same basic steps then. So this way we can build up a list of all the annotated vessels and come to a quantification on this patient for further statistical output or analysis. So just as a final note, I would like to quickly show you how we could export this data in a manner that's mainly useful for clinical research. So once we've saved the data in the Medis system, which conveniently saves it as a what's called a session, a single file which has all the data available that we would like, and we can recall this later. We actually have a second little tool that allows you to quickly browse through all the data we have on the system. So here we see a little overview of that. You can see when the items were created or last modified, what they entail. So in this case, we have these two vessels that we just analyzed. And based on this, we can now generate a quick report for output. But this is one patient, but we also have another patient here. So if I would do a quick selection of all the data here, quickly scan all of this, we would get a table showing different parameters for all these patients. The choice of the parameters is rather broad, and you can pick and choose from different categories of data you want to export, like segment-based, lesional-based information, a lot of information there. And in the end, if you would like to export this to another tool, we can export it to Excel sheet or something else, which could be used for later statistical analysis. So there was just a quick run through of the QAngio CT system and some of the possibilities that it has for doing quantification in the coronary CT data and its usage in clinical research. Thank you for your attention.
So this ends the webinar of today. I want to thank everybody to participating, and especially I want to thank Marton, Kolosvari, and Peter for the demonstrations. Any questions which are not answered, we will answer later by email. So thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.